Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back. Review time for the MacBook Air. Just the Air in itself. So the video, of course, for the unboxing, first impression, done on this machine. Also redone, not uploaded, of course, but because I redid it. Testing with and without the cooling plate, okay? Because there's a lot of people that have said that a cooling plate is very beneficial and blah, 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 blah. We're going to talk about that in a separate video. Okay, anyways, so our resting temperature was 32.4 degrees. This is the non-cooler, okay? Our top temperature was 35 degrees Celsius, 1080p, H.264, okay? Our time for export was 2 minutes and 12 seconds. That's 48 seconds quicker than my M1 Mini, okay? And it's an 8-core CPU, 8-core GPU, 16 by 512. The performance cores are 3.2 gigahertz. The efficiencies are 3 gigahertz. Anyways, and you already should know the specs on this one by now, but if not, the performance cores are 4.4 and the efficiencies are 2.9, and there's a total of 6 of them. And this has a 10-core CPU, 10-core GPU, 16 gigs of RAM, 256, slightly slower SSD. Anyway, compression time was 3 minutes and 57 seconds, 0.71 of a second, so just shy of 3 minutes and 58 seconds. Our resting temperature was 32.6 and our top temperature was 70 degrees. Now this is no cooling plate. Alright, and I thought, okay, now the total length of that video was 14 minutes and 44 seconds. That's in and out, intros, outros, my little clipping I do. Okay, 70 degrees top temperature for the compression. Compression programs will actually really eat into your machine. Okay, so, and it does tend to take longer to compress a file than it does to obviously export it. Now, with the cooling plate, now this is a little more interesting. We had a export time of 2 minutes and 1.93 of a second. Okay, so basically if you round it off, 2 minutes and 2 seconds. A little bit better with the cooling plate. Okay, a little bit. Only a few seconds, but hey. Temperature was 30.1. The top temperature was 37.2. So a little bit warmer. Okay. The compression started at 32.1 degrees and the ending temperature was 69.8 degrees. So it's about, what is that, about 0.2 of a degrees cooler. Okay. The amount of time it took for the compression was 3 minutes and 51 seconds. Kind of interesting. Little bit faster. It's about 6, almost 7 seconds faster with the cooling plate on there. All right. Like I said, we'll do a separate video to give you my full opinion on all that. Now, this morning when I booted up the computer, I had a resting temperature with the cooling fan on of 28.0 degrees, okay? Now, I turned off the cooling pad for a while, just let it sit there and do nothing, not even a screensaver. And the temperature resting with no cooling pad activated was 29.3 degrees. So, anyway, the operating system uses about 7.4 gigs of RAM out of the 16 that's sitting in this thing. Now, I've done a few other videos since then. Obviously, time lengths are going to vary. That is not by any means even close to written in stone, because it's not going to happen. Depends on the length of your video, depends on the quality of your video, as far as, resolution, extra lighting like we have now. This is going to affect things because of different lighting. It affects the quality of the picture, therefore it affects the quality overall of the size of the video, it would appear too, in physical size, okay? won't change the resolution any, but because it enhances the quality by having extra lighting, it will do its thing with different times, and of course with that, harder work means different temperatures. Okay, so I've tested a couple of games. Okay, Minecraft, absolutely fantastic. Didn't even break 50 degrees. I was impressed. That's pretty good. Now, with Motorbike, of course, you do not have to turn on faster rendering now if you don't want to. Where the M1s you did, at least on the Minis and the MacBook Airs, well, they weren't the greatest for Minecraft. They're running pretty damn toasty for the M1 Air. But if you got a fan, yeah. You would have to turn on faster rendering on those machines. But on this one, you actually don't have to. And if you do, it's that much better. So a little bit of gaming improvement, okay? Even Minecraft has some gaming improvement, obviously, especially with keeping lower temps. Even lower temps over my M1, which has a freaking huge fan inside, right? Now, Skyrim Special Edition. This is not a Mac program. This was converted from PC to run on the Mac under two translation layers, Rosetta and, of course, Windows within the wrapper. And this was done with Polytol Porting Toolkit, okay? This game, I actually have not been able to push it to, like, full blast on my M1 without having a bit of lag. This defaulted at full blast. Now, resolution was like 17 by 17 something. Let me just tell you what the default resolution of this screen actually is here. Now, default is 1710 by 1107 is the default. I actually set the screen resolution much higher when I did Skyrim, okay? I set it to 2048 by 1280. Its maximum is 2880 by 1864, okay, which I haven't brought it up quite that high yet because things get a wee bit too tiny even for my old eyes, okay? So, that I'm comfortable with that resolution on the screen. Works fantastic. Retested Minecraft, retested Motorbike. They're both still running fantastic, okay? Anyways, our lowest resolution is 960 by 600, so you can take it from there. But to get access to all these, you have to go into the advanced settings to show all resolutions. Otherwise, you get the little clicker boxes of this is what you get for default, and this is what you get at the top end. While there's so much more you can access if you go to the advanced settings for your screen resolution, okay? Now, I have not run this thing straight off the battery because I could care less, okay? This thing is going to spend the majority of its life on the table, plugged in all the time, and before any of you freakies get nutty on me, look, it doesn't harm anything leaving it plugged in all the time. My phone is plugged in all the time, and in over 14 months, I've only got 77 cycles, and my health is at 96%. It doesn't get to go off the charger very often, okay? So that's pretty good service, I think, out of that battery. So I'm not worried about any of the weirdos out there that think, oh, you shouldn't leave it plugged in all the time because that's going to really harm it. You have to cycle your battery. No, because then you'll be replacing your battery more often, okay? Or at least once within your ownership, depending on how long you keep your laptop for. And the better the condition your battery is in when you do turn around and sell your computer, or even your phone or your iPad, the better the condition, the more money you can demand and get it, okay? But if it's in a wussier condition, well, sucks to be you, doesn't it? You're going to lose a lot of money because batteries are not cheap to replace, especially in these suckers, okay? Even I'm not going to attempt to ever replace the battery in this Mac. So I want to keep it good until it's time to part my ways with it and get a new computer again someday. Anyhow, our hub is now gone. I think our hub has a defect to it because of what happened this morning. So I've changed over from a Type-C to Type-C on my interface, took up my other Thunderbolt port, and of course we have our box here for our Thunderbolt drive, which is an Express 4 that's rated at 7,000 megabytes per second. though it ain't going to hit that speed as an external device. So I'm going to shut off the video here, reset up the camera. We'll do some speed testing for you on each drive, that sort of thing, and then we'll continue on. Alright guys, so if you go to your advanced settings under display, you can show all resolutions from 960 to 960 by 600 all the way up to 2880 by, what is that, 1864? So yeah, it can crank up pretty good. I'm at 2048 by 1280, which, yeah, works pretty good for my gaming anyways. I like a little bit more real estate on the screen, if you know what I mean. Anyways, so let's get out of there. Now, speed testing. Starting with the home drive or built-in drive, whatever. 5 gig load. Let's check her out. Okay, so we're looking at about 1943.5 for the write and 2820.9 for the read. Not too shabby for 5 gig. Okay, 1 gig stress. That's going to make a huge difference when you're not stretching the drive so hard. So in there, we're looking at around 2708.5 write and 2879 on the read. Now, on a external Thunderbolt 4 drive, because these are Thunderbolt 4 ports, okay? The drive inside is a Kingston 3000 Express 4 rated for 7,000 megabytes per second read-write. And it's in a Thunderbolt 4 case. This is my fastest Thunderbolt 4 case out of the 3 of them. And so let's start with a 5 gig stress. So we got 3101.4, 3017, 3106.1, and 3010.6. That's the most we're going to expect to see for Thunderbolt 4. Okay, 1 gig stress test, Thunderbolt 4. Let's see how much different we get. We got 31077.7, 3025.5, 3115.4, 3018.3. Okay, so pretty respectable either way, okay? Decent. Can't complain whatsoever on that. And if you do, nobody's going to listen to you. So, as far as surfing goes, I mean, Safari is Safari, as we all know, okay? And that's just the thing. Different browsers react different way, different internet connections. We are full Wi-Fi here, okay? It's a pretty snappy little machine, you know, overall, you know. It does quite well, you know. I'm not complaining. I think it's really good. Now, mine's the 15-inch base M4. It's too bad they didn't have that in gold at MDG, because I love gold. It's gold. But black is beautiful too. I love black. Probably my first favorite color is black. Anyways, 10 core by 10 core, 16 by 256. Blah, 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 blah. You get all the information down there. $1,700. I paid like, you know, $1,850, so that's not bad. Paid a little extra because it is MDG. But anyway, if you can't get Apple financing and you can't get Best Buy or Staples financing, hey, MDG has 2 MacBooks currently in their lineup. They got this and the M4 Pro versioned M4 chip machine. It's nice. It's like, whew, I wish I would have had the extra to get that. But Best Buy, of course, does have it on sale right now for $2,500, which is $400 cheaper than friggin' MDG. But depends where you get your financing from. Anyways, I think we can, in the ballpark, conclude out of this, this is definitely a better machine than my M1 Mini. Even though my Mini has a, you know, relatively faster 512 SSD in it, same amount of RAM, but an M1 chip, 8 core by 8 core. This is 10 by 10, and you know, there's difference in speeds of the chips between them too, right? I love laptops, okay, and unfortunately MDG also didn't have any Mac desktops yet, and by the time they do get them, we could have M5s. We could also be looking at tariff increases, not because we would be getting tariffs on us in Canada specifically, but because Apple is going to be tariffed to death because of having computers purchase parts and stuff done and building done in China and other places that Trump nailed them all with tariffs. And that's going to mean that Apple computers and all Apple devices are going to go up in price very soon. So it's kind of like, well, this is also a good time to kind of get in on this before that hits the fan, because Apple can't absorb all that tariffs, right? And so that's going to be interesting. But in the meantime, I mean, still, regardless, I mean, it's a good machine, and it does technically outperform my M1 without any major difficulty. It doesn't get near as hot, and yet that thing has a fan in it. This doesn't. The cooling plate does help a little bit. I must admit it does, but only a little bit. We'll cover a separate video on that altogether. Now, if Apple really wants to see more of these things fly off the shelf, like record flying off the shelf and get a lot more market share, all they got to do is put 2 more Thunderbolts in this thing, because even I would buy another one with 4 ports instead of 2. 2 is very limiting because I've got my USB interface in here and I got a drive, and the only way I can use this stick from my PC when I have a video on here from gaming is to unplug my interface and plug this in. That's a real huge inconvenience, because we had an issue with our Ugreen hub, which stay tuned for that update review. That's coming up next. It is going back to Amazon, because when I fired up my computer this morning, the only thing plugged in was the interface and my printer, which pulls nothing that I'm aware of until it's actually being done a job, and of course the Thunderbolt drive. And I could not get my Thunderbolt drive back online until I unplugged everything and plugged just the Thunderbolt back in. But as soon as I even plugged just the interface back into that hub, it took down my drive again. So there's a problem with that hub, obviously, and that's something that, you know, it's a sketchy. So that's what happens when sometimes you buy cheaper. It sometimes is definitely cheap, but I think it has a defect in it or something, so it's got to go back. I may find a powered hub solution, or I may just put up with the inconvenience of I have to unplug my interface every once in a while when I have a gaming video to share with you guys from my PC. I just put it in there and then unplug, and then when I want to back up my YouTube videos, which I do, to an external, I can just unplug the interface, plug this in for a minute, and then I'll just have to deal with it. That's another reason to have 2 more USB ports for USB-C or Thunderbolt ports even. I would be happy even with USB-C at this point on the other side, just to allow me to have the convenience of these 2 items. I wouldn't have to worry ever, you know. And in fact, I do have a card reader that plugs into Type-C, and I could just easily enough, you know, because this wouldn't be in on there all the time, plug the card reader in if I needed it, you know. All we need is 2 more ports, Apple, just 2, no extra fees. Give it to us, you owe it to us, do it, and sales will go up even more. Anyway, that's it, that's all. Comments go down below, questions, what have you. We will have more videos on this thing down the road, of course, as I get to learn more and more about it. And stay tuned for our cooling plate video, and we'll talk about that. And see you in the next one. Ciao.